dear. I'll still be here when you're gone. You gather souvenirs, but I will never be your pawn. Your pawn. Your pawn. My love wasn't ever a game. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the same. You can double down. I'll still be a proud haven for your love is never love. A river through your bluff, I will be enough, enough, enough. My love wasn't ever a game. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. Something you can never take, but it's not uncommon to forsake. Got a chronic urge to complicate. Think of love like a friend, not an enemy. Feeling I have nothing left to hide. I'll say what you know it when it's right. Keep it simple now, living it before I die. Think of love like a friend, not an enemy. My love wasn't ever a game. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the same. Have I become a little too shy for love? I've been hurt before. All's fair in love and war. So I'll snuggle up close to the shell I'm living in. And if I let you in, another round begins. No, I'm spinning in a vicious cycle. I'm scared of doing something I'll regret. Maybe this is right, but I'm still staying. fire in my heart, the air I breathe. What if I'm incomplete without you by my side? What if I go against my heart instead of confessing from the start? What if I miss out on the life meant for us? I need you by my side. I need you by my side. I need you by my side. Something's wrong, I feel it circling like vultures around my brain. Couldn't see the danger in your eyes. Draw me in, got me spinning now like water to a drain. You were perfect till I realized you hadn't shown your face. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. you lose to love and glory.
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast, proud member of the Beautiful Game Network. To see our podcast and other USL podcasts and articles, be sure to check out their website at bgn.fm. You can also check out our podcast on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, as well as other podcasting platforms. For those of you that are listening through the podcast audio, we go live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/downinthevalley, and on Facebook Live at facebook.com/downintheRGV. Be sure to hit that subscribe button below to get notified whenever we post content on our channel. And while you're at it, go ahead, hit that like button on Facebook and on YouTube, and share this stream with all of your Toros friends. I want to take the time to thank the BGN sponsors like Roughneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier of MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. We also want to thank Icarus FC for their support of the Beautiful Game Network. Tired of the same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday league, adult, or even a pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at icarusfc.com. And finally, I want to take the time to thank all of our Down in the Valley patrons: Jeff Strong, Harry Austin, Javier Ochoa, Gilbert Guajardo, Eddie de la Garza, Santos Cisneros, and Johnny Reese. If you would like to help support the podcast financially while earning exclusive perks as you do so, please go to patreon.com/downintheRGV to sign up for any of our available tiers. Guys, we have an excellent episode planned today. Like we've said for the last couple of days, tonight we have a very, very special guest on the show. Please welcome RGVFC President Ron Patel. Ron, how you doing?
Good. How's everybody?
Doing well, dude. Doing well. It's just a little bit of anxiousness to get this season ready.
You're telling me, man, when you work in the front office of sports, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my job, but it's so much work that goes into actually putting something onto the field. Mm-hmm. Like, you look forward to it just as much as the fans do, because when we finally come time to kick the ball, I just can't wait to see it happening. And I just know there's going to be like a different feeling in the stadium this year. So I can't wait.
So as you can already see, he's already rocking that Puma, that exclusive Puma jacket. Can't wait to see that on the stores, honestly. But guys, I do want to give a quick shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. We've got Johnny, we've got Santos, we've got Mike, we've got Eddie as well. Mike says hi, Ron. So,
what's up, Mike?
So all right, so let's get the show on the road now. As y'all, I know a lot of us, including myself, have had a lot of questions regarding what the direction is going to be for this new era of RGVFC, or as Ron himself calls it, Toros 2.0. And so for what we're going to be doing on this show today is we're going to be talking about get some more answers to some of the questions that I've heard a lot of fans asking throughout the course of the of this off season. So Ron, tell us first. All right. So after living 1 year in the Rio Grande Valley, what were some of the most important observations regarding the soccer culture in the RGV, and how do you plan to use that to influence the culture at RGVFC, at the club?
Yeah, first observation, it's hot and humid here. No, I've actually acclimated to it now, which is great. No, so I got here a little over a year ago, as you mentioned, and came in very open-minded. Didn't want to come in like as a know-it-all and saying, "All right, I did this over there, and now I can do the same thing here." So
Mhm.
I think when I did my first speech to the fans, it was at a season ticket holder event. And the first question I got was, "Hey, what are you going to change?" And my answer was, "I don't know." Right? If you remember
Mhm.
that,
Yes.
just I don't know. I gotta talk to people. I gotta listen. That was when I thought we'd be able to sit down within 6 feet of each other anytime we wanted to for for the first year, and obviously that didn't pan out as planned. So it's been a lot of virtual interactions with supporters, and then as it got safer to be able to go out and stuff, being able to do more in-person interactions in the community. But I think the biggest thing that I've noticed down here is just how knowledgeable the fan base is. I'm sorry, not even the fan base, how knowledgeable the population is on the game of soccer. People know their football here. People appreciate the game. People respect the game, and they expect a soccer product, albeit a professional team, to be ran properly, to be ran for the people, and it needs to be an attractive product too. So I've noticed that right away. So as we do, as you mentioned, this kind of 2.0 versions of the Toros that we've taken over the technical side of the club. We've I'm sure we got a lot to talk about today, but as we do that, we've got to make sure it's an attractive style of play. We got to make sure that we represent the community not only on the field, but we are present in our community. And those of you who pay attention to our social media hopefully see that we're getting out there as much as we can to shake hands and meet people, or fist bump, I guess, now during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and try to create positive outcomes within the community.
So you mentioned right off the bat that you wanted this team to have an attractive play style. What other details regarding the previous relationship with the Houston Dynamo in Toros 1.0 per se did you see that was incompatible with the RGV culture or the RGV soccer culture?
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that it wasn't attractive before. That's not what I was trying to say. I think, the biggest difference before is the players were playing for Houston,
Mm-hmm.
right? And granted, we've had some great guys down here that got involved in the community, and that's awesome. The stuff that they've done with kids and stuff there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about the players in the past few years and what they've done going out and helping in the community. So it's not I'm not saying that it wasn't, none of that was done before. I guess what I'm saying is that they weren't playing for the shield that was on their chest,
Okay.
right? They were playing for a spot up 6 hours north, and to the east, right, in Houston. And when I say that is that's what their goal was. Now our goal has changed. Our what we have now is we represent the Rio Grande Valley. We're the professional soccer team that represents the Rio Grande Valley. And it doesn't matter what league you're in, MLS, USL, NISA, whatever. When you play soccer, and that's what you do for a living, you represent the shield on your chest, and you represent the community that shield covers. And so we have to take that responsibility very seriously. And so that's my goal. I don't want to focus on the past. I want to focus on what we have in front of us. I think by having Wilmer at the helm, it's phenomenal. Just I couldn't, when I started the coaching search, I couldn't have dreamed of a better candidate for this. You guys know I'm very gung ho, very 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 excited about Wilmer, and I just can't wait to get out there and watch the intensity of his training sessions and get out there and watch the intensity of the game.
See, I'm looking at the chat right now, and when you were mentioning about the fact that the players before would not play for the most part, or generally speaking, for the crest, for the Toros crest, but rather for the Dynamo, it is actually a sentiment that is actually has been mentioned many times throughout the fan base. As you can hear in the chat, you had Johnny saying most of the players treated it as one big tryout for Houston, unfortunately, or as Santos calls it an MLS ticket. So it was something that I really believe that the fan base caught on really, really quick. And as you mentioned, the fan base and the people in the Rio Grande Valley know their soccer, and you can't really fool them real quickly with that, you know.
Yeah, let me just add to that though, Edson. Like, the players didn't do anything wrong.
No, of course.
That was their job, right? Their job was to come in and be developed to go to the Houston Dynamo. The Dynamo wasn't doing anything wrong. They were doing the best thing for their club possible, and that was to develop players in this hybrid agreement they have with the Toros. But I think now the focus has changed, and I hope the fans and those watching this show and those that watch our social media are feeling that difference. And I can't wait till you get to see these guys play for you. So,
yeah, definitely looking forward to that. But continuing on. So, during the beginning of the off season, there was still a little bit of confusion, or not necessarily confusion, but it was kind of like, where was, after the 2020 season, where was the Tours relationship going to go from here? You know, previously Glenn Davis had mentioned before that there was changes coming within the relationship. Jeff Ruder mentioning that there was 1 year left of the partnership between the Houston Dynamo and RGVFC. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, RTV announces that the relationship was going to be changed, that it was going to be revised, in which, like you mentioned, now the Tours are going to have full technical control over the team rather than the Houston Dynamo having that control. So once the decision was made to restructure that partnership, what were some of the biggest challenges that you and the RGV front office were able to identify?
Time. That was the biggest challenge. It still is. It's the time hasn't been on our side, and it's no fault but our own. But we had to make decisions, and we had to make the right decisions, right? Mm-hmm. As I've mentioned to you and to other fans, and as you should have mentioned to me, it was, when is the coach coming? When is the coach coming? When is this coming? When's that? When are the players coming? Right? And so, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you guys, your job, right, as a fan, is to support your team as much as you can. So it's your responsibility to call me out for that. So I appreciate that. And it shows the passion you guys have for this club. And I love it because there are clubs around the world that don't have fans with that passion. So I consider myself very lucky to have fans that will scream for it. And that's great. That's a good thing. So time was the biggest challenge, to answer your question directly. And we literally signed the agreement the night before the announcement. I remember the call I made to you, actually, to let you know we were going to be announcing it. And I could hear the giddiness in your voice. And then you recorded that video, I think, from your phone in your car. And you looked like you had just seen a ghost. I can't believe what could happen. This just got announced and the news broke. So it was time was the biggest challenge, right? And then obviously it's putting, now we have to put a quality product onto the field and back up what we're saying we're going to do. But I think, we've got the right guy in place. Wilmer is a world-class professional. The front office, you've seen the talent that we've got in the front office as well. The people that they bleed Toros. These guys love this team. And we've been able to align our focus to see those empty seats behind me in my virtual background, to fill as many of those as we can. And there's never been a better time for the Toros, I think, than right now. And you and the fans watching this, and the ones that will become fans this year and start watching this show, hopefully you're looking back now 6 months later and you're looking at past episodes and you're like, this was the tipping point for the Toros. I'm very confident.
Yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned it correctly. It was like, it just caught me so off guard because that all I could do right now was just stop at a parking lot, because I was heading over to San Antonio. Stop at a parking lot and just give the news right then and there. in I think in a very modern way now with the power of social media. And I was really looking forward to seeing what was in store for RGVFC. I mentioned it many times. I think the threshold, the potential for RGV, in my eyes, completely grows as an independent club rather than having an external team controlling it with what I've always said had differing interests compared to what the fans in the RGV wanted. And so now we control our own destiny. And so I was actually, like I said, really excited for the opportunity coming in. So,
and I watch your show, Edson, you know that. And I remember the show right after with the announcement, and you guys were right, but it also puts more pressure on us, right? Because we've assumed those additional costs.
mm-hmm.
And so now we've got to perform, and the business, sports is a business. So we have to make sure that the business side, and we're not coming out and promising a championship. It's a lot of work to get to a USL championship. Do we want to win the championship? Hell yeah, of course we do.
Yes.
But understand that we're building this team for 100 years. We want 100 years from now, our children's children to be fans of this team. And it is a marathon, not a sprint. It doesn't mean we're not going to try to win games. Don't confuse what I'm saying for that. But this has to be done the right way. It has to be built for the long term so that your children's children are wearing that same shield and hopefully running this show one day.
And it's interesting because looking back at the history of professional soccer in the Rio Grande Valley, before the Toros, we had two other USL clubs. At the time, it was USL PDL. We had the RGV Bravos and the RGV Grandes. The first one was the Bravos, only lasted for about 2 seasons, and then they just disappeared. Then the Grandes, 1 season, then disappeared. The Toros were pretty much like a whole, it's either 3rd time's the charm or 3 strikes and you're out. Yeah. And the fact that the Toros have managed to hold on as much as they have and have potential to continue to grow, and I think that really should give the RGV fan base a little bit of calmness in the fact that this team more than likely isn't going anywhere. Now, the pandemic really is going to be a difficult challenge to get past from. Mm-hmm. But from what we've seen, the Toros are continuing to push on. We're seeing all of these changes done even with the pandemic. Sadly, we've had some other USL franchises that because of the pandemic have folded. So I think for now, at this point, RGV is doing their part. Now let's see what how the fan base reacts, and hopefully it's a favorable response to what we're seeing. But moving on, considering you mentioned the time, biggest essence, biggest challenge going into this Toros 2.0. So when did the job search for the new head coach begin, and what were some of the characteristics that you were looking for in that new head coach?
Yeah, so I think the news dropped at, was it 2:00 that day? I want to say it was 1:00 or 2:00.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2:00. The search chart started at 2:01.
Okay.
It had to start immediately. It was December 23rd, I want to say. And instantly we got a barrage of emails from everyone that felt they were the best candidate for the job. And we got a ton of emails from agents saying they've got the best coach for us. LinkedIn, I've never gotten more LinkedIn messages in my life from my contacts around. I've got quite a few contacts, not just nationally, but internationally as well, saying, hey, we've got the perfect coach for you. So, and I said this, if you watched the El Camino first episode, which by the way, second episode is coming very, very soon. The first episode of El Camino, I talked about it. Like, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life, because I've been involved in 2 other head coaching searches, one at the PDL level, one at the USL championship level. The PDL one, I was the decision maker. The one at my prior USL club, I was not the decision maker, but I was involved in the process. But my gosh, what a tough decision to have to make. And then there's so many good people in the soccer world, and I mean that sincerely. There's so many good coaches out there that interviewed and gave presentations and said, look, this is my philosophy. And so, sorry, I kind of go on a tangent sometimes, go off on a tangent, but what was I looking for? I was looking for someone that gets the Rio Grande Valley. I've moved here from the outside, right? So I've had to learn to live in the Rio Grande Valley. I still walk into a lot of businesses and people talk to me in Spanish, and my Spanish is getting better, but it still throws me off sometimes. I was looking for someone that attractive style of play, of course, but someone that also has long-term thinking, and someone that realizes this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and we're building this club forever, and this club should be here forever. This community deserves this club. You mentioned other teams that had gone away. I faced that same challenge when we started the teams in New Mexico. When I started my PDL team in 2013, which by the way was the same league as the Bravos. Same thing. There had been a couple of other teams in the past that hadn't done well. People said, look, if this doesn't work, nothing will ever work in soccer. So there's some eerily similar wow, I'm at a loss for words. Eerily similar instances here in the Valley that I have experienced in other parts of the country when I was in New Mexico. But it's got to be someone that gets the people. It's got to be someone that puts a good product out there, and it had to be someone that it didn't have to be bilingual, but it's definitely a plus with the amount of Spanish media we have here. But that wasn't a job requirement, and nobody buys tickets to support a team because of the coach. They buy it to see the players, and they buy it to see the results on the field. You might get some people that buy it for the coach, but it's the coach's style of play that they buy it for more so than the coach itself. Unless there's a dangerously handsome president, maybe they buy a couple of tickets for that too. But no, so there was a lot of factors, and I tried to make. There's no way to do a scientific process for a head coach. And I called a lot of friends in the industry, how have you done this? How have you hired? How did you search? Who do you recommend? And I called a lot of people for help, because if you think you know it all, then you're definitely way behind. So I called a lot of people I trust in the business, both nationally, internationally. And, it was just a case of how could I make it as scientific as possible? So I created this big sheet, and I had, winning percentage, experience, how good they interviewed, how did they answer these questions, what's this, what's that, and I tried to put a scientific part to the process, but there was definitely an intuition that had to be there too, and there was definitely like a feeling. I talk about energy a lot with soccer, and I'm not a foo-foo energy guy. That's my wife. She's the foo-foo energy person in our family, but you know what? I am when it comes to soccer. And so if you look at the seats behind me, each one of those seats in HAB Park, I believe is a portal of energy. And our job as fans of the game is to transfer that energy to the players on the field. And the player's job is to then transfer that energy back to the fan in the stands. And if we can have that exchange from every seat in that stadium, it makes for something incredibly beautiful. And I've seen it at Anfield growing up in Liverpool. I've seen it in that club I shall not name, who we play on May 1st. And I've seen it there, and it's a beautiful thing as well. And I can't wait to see it here. And it's something that until you've experienced an environment like that, and I'm sure you have, you're a big Tigres fan, you've been to a lot of high level games in Houston as well. Until you've experienced that, and you can't really explain that to a non-soccer fan that hasn't experienced that. There's an electricity about it. There's an energy. There's a je ne sais quoi, right? To quote my French. It's just, you can't describe it. You just have to experience it for yourself. And it's different everywhere you go. Liverpool didn't feel like New Mexico. New Mexico is not going to feel like the Valley, and the Valley's not going to feel like Monterey. Like everything's going to be different. It's that special Valley energy that we're going to harness. And is it going to happen overnight? No. And are we going to lose some games? Yes. But you know what? When we do lose, we're going to try the freaking hardest we can. Those players will leave everything on that field, and you'll know that they didn't just walk around and lose the game. And I know Wilmer well enough now to know that. So.
And if they do, well,
look,
you'll hear the backlash. Not you directly, but
No,
You know.
it's on me, right? But the thing is, like, we're not coming out saying, "Look, hey, we got our own team now. We're going to win every game." That's
Yeah.
impossible,
No, what I mean
right?
is what I mean is like I think as fans, you know, obviously we're not going to be just bashing for bashing, but at least we're going to try and keep the players accountable that
Of course.
they're representing us, they're representing the valley, just like you know the hashtag is being used para el valle, you're playing for the valley. And so
Yes.
you know, I think it's good that fans should care enough to remind the players that hey, you guys are playing for us. Yeah, we want you to feel identified by that valley identity, and we're going to support you. But at the same time, we don't feel like you're representing us correctly. You know, then
Yeah, we
like
deserve it.
where it's blatant, right? Because there's losing where you're fighting till the 90th minute and things just didn't go your way. It's fine. But if you know, I've seen some soccer games. Not talking about the Toros, but I've seen some soccer games like where like you're there blatantly just walking on the field, and it's like I remember that in Mexico versus Chile, that 7-1 beatdown. Yeah, that kind of game. But but yeah, so moving on, and we'll get back with the fan experience, the atmosphere in the Rio Grande Valley. We'll get back to that topic a little bit later on. So you talked about all of the different parameters that you had. Man, I sound like I'm talking about coded work. Uh, all the parameters that you had regarding this coaching hire. What set Wilmer Cabrera apart from the rest of the candidates?
What set him apart? He has coached at the highest level for such a long time. He glorifies the game. I mean, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of players out there that have been molded and coached by Wilmer Cabrera.
Mhm.
He loves the game so much. We've had in-depth conversations already just of how much he adores the game. I love that. I'm a purist. I'm a soccer purist, just like he is. He's had success here before. In the 1 year he was here, he had great success in our first year. He's coached 3 different MLS teams, right? He's won a US Open Cup. He's won a Canadian championship with not even with his team, the Canadian champion. He went in and won it with that team.
Mhm.
He's coached at the youth levels at a national team level, and he's played at the highest level, both in Colombia, here in the United States, and at 2 World Cups. I mean, in my mind, when I was weighing everything out, and I don't want to speak ill about the other candidates, nor will I name who they were, because there were tremendous candidates there. But in my mind, he has it all. Not to mention the parameters, to use one of your terms from coding, that I set forth before, like having to fit in with the Valley, having to understand the Valley, being able to play for the Valley. He's got it all, and El Profe was the guy.
Honestly, like I said, I think and also the fact that he coached us back in 2016, so he knows the Valley from that year that he was with us.
He loves the
Uh,
Valley.
we
He loves.
had the best team in our short history in 2016 under Wilmer Cabrera. The best standings, you know, second in the Western Conference. And I think, like he said, he, like we say in Spanish, tienes la espinita. Like he had that unfinished business of like, we had the best tournament that year, the best season in year number 1, and for some circumstances, we got knocked out in the first year, in the first round of the playoffs. And so now it seems like he's hungry for, I don't want to say redemption, but at least for that revenge of like, in year 1, under the circumstances of the Dynamo, I did this. Now I can do much better, having my reign on what kind of players that I can bring in. That's the observation that I've had about it.
No, he's hungry. One thing I like about Wilmer, though, he doesn't overpromise and underperform. And that's one of the things we have, I think, in common. He strives to underpromise and overperform. Just like on the business side, that's what I do with my boss. Is I try to underpromise and overperform. And if you can do that in any job or any facet of life, you're always gonna do well.
Johnny says in the chat, he says, like I said on Saturday, this FO doesn't treat these matches as events or something to sell tickets for. They're into this game out of love for the sport. And you can easily tell because when you love the sport, I don't know, it's that aura, like you mentioned, that energy, that vibe that you get. It's just, you can't explain it. But the fact that whenever you talk about the certain aspects of what you're doing, you back them up with, because this is how I was raised as being a fan of football. I want to emulate this into this.
Yeah, look, I still, some of my most vivid memories in life have been at football games. I remember seeing England play for the first time in the World Cup in person. That was in 2006. I remember seeing Liverpool beat Manchester United 3-0 in 1987, I think it was, at Anfield. I remember the 2005 Champions League final. I remember the Oklahoma City game at the end of last season that we won. That I was so happy for those players and for Jerson, who I think, I probably shouldn't say this, but I think got the raw end of the deal, like in the job that he had. He was in a very tough spot. I think he's a terrific coach. I remember how it felt with New Mexico United's first win when I created that team. I remember Albuquerque Soul's first win when I created that team. There's so many memories in my life. Of course, my wedding day. And
quick disclaimer.
Hopefully my wife's not watching. She's in the other room. But so many memories in my life have been tied to this game. Mm-hmm. And what excites me is how many more am I going to get this year, right? Yeah. We're all going to get them. Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be 5? How many big memories that you never forget where you were when that happened? Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens.
So now the RGV had announced their head coach. Time was still running, and now it was a matter of picking the players. You've announced Tyler Derrick, you've announced Wanku Zane, and so on and so forth. But many fans, including myself, not gonna lie, we've wondered why the player announcements are being done on a player-by-player basis throughout the course of multiple weeks, rather than being multiple players being announced at a certain time. What are the benefits of this announcement plan?
The players are, I think, there's a few announcements we're going to have to do. I can't remember if we've done one yet. There's going to be a couple of announcements we're going to have to do because we weren't able to get good video highlights or high quality video highlights. I think we've done one like that already where it was just imagery. So we've put 2 together, some imagery, but the ones we have good video footage of, we've been doing individual ones. Look, they're our players. They're our heroes, right? They're the heroes for the kids of the Rio Grande Valley now. Mm-hmm. They deserve it. They deserve the spotlight, and I want to give them all the spotlight. It shouldn't be about me. It shouldn't be about Wilmer. All respect, Wilmer. It's about these players. And these are the players that are going to light up that stadium this year and into the future. And they're the ones that and from a business, they're our product, right? You talk about business, the players are the product. They deserve it. They deserve the spotlight. And that's what it is. I want to give these players as much of the spotlight as possible. They are committing their near future to the Valley, and they deserve that. And I want them to be here a long time.
I think just to make a quick little comment here, because I know we've talked about it on this show in previous seasons, where it almost feels like the players can go out to HEB, they go out, do their normal tasks throughout the day, and it almost feels like nobody knew who they were. Nobody could easily identify. It wasn't like, for example, in other teams, let's say, obviously keeping, the the certain person. I don't know how to explain it, but
I know what you're saying.
yeah. So like for example, in let's say Liverpool, I'm pretty sure if Virgil van Dijk were to go out into the store, people would easily recognize him in Liverpool.
Yep.
In Tigres, Andre Pierre Gignac, you know, and it seemed like that was lacking in the Toros. It seemed like nobody outside of the diehard fans could easily identify players out there on the field, and I'm pretty sure that I think that players might have felt that as well personally. So this might be a decision to put them out there and let the fans kind of get used to seeing their faces, recognizing their abilities, recognizing their play style, and hopefully this will continue as the season progresses, which will allow them to have fan favorites, as we call them. They're easily recognizable, in the fans' point of view, and even in non-soccer fans' point of view. But so with so many teams already training for preseason and having announced preseason games, what kind of setbacks is this going to have in our preparation for this 2021 season?
Yeah, so the guys are in quarantine right now. They're just about ready to start preseason training. We're waiting on one of the preseason games to confirm that we can announce when you announce the schedule. So we've got our the 3 preseason games confirmed. I can't announce them officially until we've gotten the go ahead from the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll like the games. Again, preseason matches, don't make a lot of the results in the preseason. They're designed to run different schemes, to try different players. There's trialists that are brought in as well. So you've got your regular roster, and then you've got trialists who are trying to make the team.
Mm-hmm.
And even the quality of the trialists, I was so impressed with. We did bring one in from our open tryout that came in, and he's going to be a trialist as well. And then we'll be rolling very, very soon here and getting ready for those preseason games. So you can expect a preseason schedule announcement very, very soon. But it was that time thing again, right? That kind of pushed it back a little bit, and I take responsibility for that. But I think your question is more: is it going to affect our ability to start the preseason or the regular season with fire? We're going to be probably a week behind where we want it to be. So we've got to kind of try to make up for that week in the preseason. We wanted to have a full 6-week preseason. It's probably going to be a 5-week preseason.
And kind of following it up with that question, when can we expect the final player announcement to be made?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that as a surprise.
Ron, come on. At least give us a hint. At least give us.
We got a couple more that are going to turn some heads. But we also have, you got to remember, because of the pandemic, and we've got some immigration issues we're working through, like a lot of teams are. Getting visas, P1 visas from some of these countries has proven harder this year than in past. We've got a great immigration attorney that's helping us out. But that is causing some of the delays too in getting paperwork processed. You're not allowed, just little insider knowledge here, you're not allowed to announce a player until you've got permission from like 40 different entities. And you got to have the paperwork processed, the player registered, the federation they come from has to sign off on that. The league's got to sign off, the U.S. Soccer Federation. So usually we can announce pending league and federation approval. But there's still a whole other slew of things we got to get right. We got to make sure that their prior team knows we're doing that. There's all kinds of stuff. So long story short, I'm not going to answer your question and just leave you in suspense for when the
long story short, God bless the bureaucracy.
Exactly. It keeps the fun there, right? They in the Premier League, which is, I grew up following the Premier League. They call it the silly season when all the transfer rumors and stuff. And don't worry, I watch you guys' social media, and Mike and Johnny and all these guys on the chat. I mean, I watch you guys, and I see the stuff, the players they throw out, and And you know me, I'll never confirm nor deny.
As the great Jerson Echeverria once said, no comment. So actually, I have a question from the chat. Sloth asked, will preseason games be open to the public?
Right now we don't have any open to the public. There's a few reasons for that. I don't want to get into the details today. But I've allowed Wilmer to have it's his preseason. So whatever he wants to do with the preseason in the future, we'll have in future seasons, we'll have an open preseason game, at least one. But this season, I can't guarantee we'll have one. I do apologize for that, but I want to make sure they get the games they need to get the preparation they need to be ready May 1 to kick New Mexico United's butt.
Seems fair. All right, so we already talked about the reason you mentioned, the reason about preseason. This is obviously including La Copita, which was recently announced by the Dynamo, the MLS teams, and San Antonio FC. Boo. Will the club be making strides to enter this preseason tournament for next preseason?
I imagine yes. I'd like to let Wilmer answer that question himself. Next time you talk to him, you're welcome to ask. I don't even know. I think we may have been invited already. I'm not sure. We'll be playing some familiar teams in the preseason, so it may not officially be in that tournament. But as I mentioned, this year more than ever, the preseason is got its purpose, and it's not to have final results. That's the same in any professional soccer league, but even more so this year for us because we had to kind of start from scratch, as you know, on December 23rd.
Correct. So moving on from preseason and off season, let's go ahead and look forward into what's to come for RGVFC, and especially in trying to attract the fan base into the stadium. Actually, I've got one right here from Eddie. This good transition. He asked, are any shuttles from Brownsville area to home games included with tickets? Soccer is big in this area.
We are working on some solutions. I've had a couple people ask me that. Obviously, things take time, but I am working on a solution for that. And Eddie, please feel free to tweet at me on Twitter. I'm at rpatel956. I think you saw I finally figured out how to change my Twitter handle. So I used to be rpatel505.
Yes.
I'm rpatel956. Please tweet at me, Eddie. And if there's anything you can do to give me some ideas on how to get it done, I'm all ears. So we're working on some possible solutions for that.
And don't forget, guys, if you guys are patron supporters, you will have the ability to ask Ron Patel a question live on the show in a couple of minutes. Just bear with me real quick while I finish this up. So now moving on. So with the Rio Grande Valley overwhelmingly a Spanish-speaking region, like you mentioned earlier in the show, what are some of the plans or ideas to capture that demographic and attract them to the stadium?
It's a good question, Edson. We talk about this a lot, wanting to have more of a bilingual marketing approach, wanting to have, our game day broadcast, our match broadcast, having more of a Spanish flair there as well. But I think the real answer, I can give you the marketing answer and I can give you the politically correct answer, right? I think the real answer is, and you've probably heard me say this before, for us to be successful, we need to be genuine, authentic, and intentional with everything that we do. We need to be genuine because people can see right through you if you're disingenuous. If I'm sitting here BSing you, you guys aren't dumb. You can see right through me. We got to be authentic to the Valley. All right. And we have to be intentional with everything that we do. So whether it's the 12 days of Toros that we did, we went out to the community. And of course, that was going on while we were negotiating this restructure with the Dynamo. So it was some busy weeks in the holiday season for me. But whether it's the 12 days of Toros and getting out there was definitely some events we did during that. I'll share one of my most beautiful ones. I was helping with a food bank distribution. And the lady I was working with while I was distributing food to people in need didn't speak a word of English. And I speak very limited Spanish. We worked together for 3 hours giving food to people, and we were able to communicate. And it was such a beautiful thing. I still love that day. I took a selfie with her. And who knows, I might never see her again. But we shared that moment together, giving back to our community. So we have to be out there, not just wait for people to come to us. We're going to different places in the valley and inviting folks to come. Plus, we have programs in place for if there's children out there that normally won't have the opportunity to come to a game, and if people have contacts for us of how we can get these kids that normally wouldn't be able to come to a game, we've got companies that have said to us, "Hey, we want to help these kids get to games." So we can do that. We'll find ways to get these kids to the games. So please don't be afraid to reach out to us with opportunities like that.
Definitely. And guys, if you have any other suggestions, if you know, or if you are a predominantly Spanish speaking fan, or if you know anybody that is primarily a Spanish speaking fan, don't doubt and contact Ron Patel via Twitter, and I guess shoot him some suggestions into his tweet, and he'll more than gladly evaluate it. And hey, who knows, maybe you might it might get implemented in the future.
And if it's Spanish, that's okay, because I'll be able to translate it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think that a bilingual approach is really gonna help the people of the valley feeling identified with this club, with the fact that the club is going out of their way to kind of like embrace the identity. It all goes back to the identity of the Rio Grande Valley. The identity has always been, predominantly Spanish speaking. You've got most of the fans, already have, and I've talked about this a lot on the show, they already have a Liga MX team that they root for. They've got a whole tradition of it. Now it's just a time to kind of convince them to embrace to embrace the Toros, convince them that the Toros represents the valley. And I think that one of the biggest things is, like I said, like you mentioned, trying to make sure that they know that this is the valley. The valley RGVFC is bilingual, just like most of us in the Rio Grande Valley are from our age, but that we can also cater to the more older population, like my dad's age, that tend to be a lot more Spanish speaking. And so I think there's a whole lot of ideas that I have on my mind, and I know I've mentioned to you, before, but I'm pretty sure that our fans have a lot of ideas as well. So like I said, be sure to tweet it at him, and let's get this dialogue going, ladies and gentlemen. This is our team.
It's a two-way street, and I told you at the top of the hour, like I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know it all. I'm a year in here in the valley, so please, I want to hear. Does it mean we'll implement everything that gets suggested? Probably not. We'll try our best, but I want to hear from you guys. And if somebody suggests something and someone else suggests the same thing and someone else suggests the same thing, like, hey, that's something we definitely need to be doing. So please, we listen. We do.
So, as a fan of soccer for many years, including Liverpool, I remember you mentioning once, I don't remember where, but you mentioned that when you were growing up, you lived really close to Anfield, so you have that soccer background. For you, what is the most important aspect in the club to build a supporters culture?
And when you say a supporters culture, you're referring to more of the like supporters section, or just in general?
In general.
I hate to repeat myself, but being genuine, authentic, and intentional with everything that we do. Loving the game. I mean, treating the team as, look, it's not my team. It's, yes, Mr. Cantu owns the team, but like you mentioned earlier, this team belongs to the valley, and that's the way he feels. That's the way I feel. This is de la gente, right? It's for the people. And so I think, what is the key? I remember talking, I forget who I was talking about it. It was another interview I did. And I said, I think that people say, what was the secret sauce in New Mexico, right? When you guys came out first year, led the league in attendance. I said, look, first of all, there wasn't one, right? It was a bunch of different factors that fell into place. It was hardworking, passionate people that love the club. But even more so, if I had to pick a secret sauce, it's having a community of people that have such pride for the area that they live in, or the area they're from, or the area they grew up in, and being able to represent that pride on the field. And that's one of the things that we have here. I think the people from the Valley are very proud to be from the Valley. I've noticed it's competitive, right? We all kind of battle with each other, fight with each other. This high school goes up to that high school. But then when that high school makes it up to play that team from San Antonio or from Austin, it seems like the whole Valley gets behind them.
Yes.
And I always talk about it being a very familial culture. Again, this is a part of what I've kind of downloaded since I've moved here, is everyone fights with each other, just like a big family. Like, my wife's one of like 70 family members that I go to their Thanksgiving, and they all fight with each other, but they all love each other. But if one of them falls on the ground, like 10 of them are going to run over and pick them up. Right.
Yeah. It's like Sherryland versus Las Milpas versus Harlingen versus McAllen. But at the end of the day, like, we all, like, I think we've proven time and time again that at the end of the day, like, we always stand together when it's us against somebody else.
So we've got it. We've got it here, right? So now what I tell people is all it takes for this thing for all those seats to be full, obviously after restrictions, and granted, we could go 100% if we wanted to right now, but we don't want to. But to fill that stadium up, we've got everything it takes. All right. And we just have to treat this team not like it's our team, but treat it like it's your team. We are the stewards of it, right? It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to you. And we're the stewards of it. We have to treat it with respect. We have to make sure the product on the field represents the community outside the stadium. And what I say is everyone's just got to lean in just a little bit. We need everybody to lean in. And to some people, leaning in means just liking a post on Facebook. Some mean leaning in might be following our Instagram page or subscribing to our YouTube page. It might be buying a ticket to a game. That's leaning in. It might be buying season tickets. It might be sponsoring our jersey. That's one company's version of leaning in. But if everybody in this community just leans in just a little bit, this thing is going to be incredibly successful. But I also understand that there's a trust there. Okay. And trust is not given, trust is earned. And that's what we have to continue to do, is earn the trust of the people of the Rio Grande Valley. And it's not going to happen overnight. But I hope so far in my first year, you guys have seen that I try to let my actions speak louder than my words. Our team feels that way too. And we're doing the best we can to make sure we do that. So Para El Valle, that's why we're here.
So I know it's interesting, I think one of the observations that I've had is, hopefully this will change as, like you mentioned, the Toros earn the trust of the fans that are probably on the fence or on the other side of the fence, of supporting the Toros. But whenever I've been in the Rio Grande Valley, obviously small sample size, but it was rare to see somebody other than myself or other than my friends, from the Stampede, to be going out to the HEB or going out to like their everyday, task, wearing a Toros jersey. Like, you always see a lot of America, you always see a lot of Tigres, but I've rarely seen a Toros jersey. And I think it's one of the things that I think needs to be improved. It was actually one of the questions, but I think you kind of answered, that particular question right now, because well, the question was, it was like, what are the changes is the club looking to make marketing wise in order to attract the fans to the stadium post COVID, or watch the games via ESPN Plus, especially in away games, I always put as an example, because it's what I've grew up in, Tigres and Monterrey. The soccer culture, the passion is so much in the city of Monterrey, Nuevo León, that there's there's radio stations that almost 24/7, at least all day, it's all about it's all programs talking about Tigres and Rayados, and fans calling the radio station, giving their input, their opinions, their hot takes. And that's what I would like to see in the future for the Rio Grande Valley, a fan base that is so passionate for the Toros that it's not only a 90-minute thing, but almost a everyday thing of, being up to date with it, with the team, and being very vocal about the love for the Toros, almost 24/7. That's what I would like to see, hopefully, in the future, from the RGV fan base. I know there's still a long way to go. Like you said, Rome was not built in a day.
We'll get there. And again, it'll take everyone leaning in, whatever that means to each individual. But, we'll get there. We get there faster than I thought we would in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
We built that franchise. And, when I knew we kind of hit a tipping point was after the fifth game. And we worked till 1 a.m. on game nights. But
Mm-hmm.
after the fifth game of the first season, we got in the groove and we went out for a beer after the game. And I couldn't believe it. We were on down and every bar I went into, there was black and yellow everywhere. I'm like, wow, this thing is catching on. I mean, granted, we had, 13,000 a game in the stands, and there was a movement that had been created. So we'll get to that point where you're going to see more stuff in the stores. You're going to see people wearing the stuff. I want it to be where people go down to 17th Street wearing our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you've really made it in McAllen, right?
Yeah.
Is if you're wearing your stuff when they're down on 17th Street. So hopefully some of the new merch items you guys have seen in the last year or so, people will be wearing that stuff around town.
So, and speaking of new merch, let's go ahead and transition into the little cat that's in your jacket. So you announced last couple of days the partnership with Puma. We've left Adidas. Now we will be wearing Puma. So from what you're allowed to disclose, please describe the agreement with Puma. What does it include? And what is different about this agreement compared to previous agreements with Nike and Adidas?
Yeah, I wasn't too privy to the agreements with Adidas or Nike, so it's hard for me to speak to them. I just saw the tail end of the Adidas agreement, and really we were doing it because the Dynamo were doing it. Mm-hmm. I felt it was important to establish a new kind of look for the team without changing this, of course. So it needed to look a little different. I think, the agreements with Nike and Adidas, I'm not knocking Nike or Adidas, but they were transactional, where this has got more meaning to it. And what I mean by that is Puma is a forward-thinking organization. Puma is innovative. Puma is very, when I say fast, I mean like the imagery of the brand is very fast. It's very stylish. I guess it's artistic. I think all of that energy right there represents what we're trying to do with the team. My dog outside the door telling me he wants to eat dinner, I think. And so there was a lot of things, a 3-year deal we did with Puma, just so you know. And a lot of the things we did were built around community as well. So we've got I can't disclose what those terms are yet because we got some surprises planned, but we've got some cool stuff planned in the community with Puma. We got some cool stuff planned at the stadium with Puma, and a lot more merch items to come. Obviously, we've only released a t-shirt and our training jersey. So obviously there's still the home jersey to reveal, the away jersey. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a third kit this year. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, right? So we've got a lot more cool things coming.
So with this agreement, does this open the door? And because this has been asked to me by some fans, does this open the door for certain customization to personalize the kits to the identity of the valley? Like, for example, with New Mexico United, it was a small detail, right, with the New Mexico United, the inaugural Puma kits, but their kits had the 4 lines that are on their crest was actually on their shirt. Does this agreement open up to that possibility with the kits, with the Toros?
Possibility, yes. Will we get it done in the first year? I'm not sure. I'm trying, but I'm not sure if we have enough time to get it done this year. Mm-hmm. But in future seasons, the customization options are definitely going to be there.
And I know you told me on Facebook last week about if this were to happen, you would like to hear some ideas on what makes the Valley the Valley. What do the fans would like to see on a shirt? And I think starting from today, I'm gonna see him. I start getting some feedback from the fans on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, and so that way y'all can get an idea on what we would like to see. Like I said, a lot of stuff is probably may not be feasible due to design, timing, pricing constraints, but at least it'll get you a general idea. I know personally, I would like to see at least maybe not necessarily a jock tag, but at least like a little patch or screen printed the 4 counties of the Rio Grande Valley on the shirt. I don't know if it's in the back of the collar, in the back of the neck, or under like at the bottom of the shirt. But I think it would be a cool idea to see something like on the Puma t-shirt that just came out with the 4 counties.
All right, duly noted. I like it. We're looking for more ways to use the shape of the 4 counties of the valley. There are some restrictions on what you are allowed and not allowed to do per the league on certain parts of the jersey. So if you notice, New Mexico was clever with how they did it on the front.
Yeah.
There wasn't too much of a restriction there. On the back, there are some restrictions, but if you can do sublimation and get stuff into the jersey, then you solve all that. So
okay.
I'm all ears. Please, if you want to build a list of stuff, Edson, I think you can attest. I don't ignore stuff. When someone sends me something, I respond. So please, I'm all ears and want to hear about it.
So guys, I know there's some of the Patreons are already in the waiting room, so we'll go ahead and let them in. So if there are any other patrons that have yet to jump into the waiting room, please do so at this time. And right now we're gonna go ahead and start with Eddie. He has a question for you. I know you told him to tweet at him, but yeah, he's gonna be here in the flesh, hopefully right now. It's taking a while. Let's try Gilbert.
You can do it.
All right, there we go. There's Gilbert. Hopefully Eddie can join in real soon. Gilbert, are you there?
There's Eddie too.
Hey, how's it going, Gilbert?
Sorry about guys. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, welcome y'all. Sorry, I was grabbing a drink, so I didn't know it was coming on yet. Hey, Ron, good podcast, guys. Wait, it's going really well. I had a day off today, even though I went and did a little stuff at work. First off, thanks, Ron, for going on Edson's podcast. You know, we're always love to listen and see what everything's going on. And before I ask my question, I just want to say, first off, thank you for supporting local business. I've had the fortune of seeing you and your wife around. I got to see Wilmer last week and meet to him and talk to him for a little while. Was super grateful for that and to have them over. I also wanted to say it's pretty noticeable the change that we've had since you've gotten here with social media. I've noticed, at least just from my casual perspective, that interaction and stuff is a little up. Most of the posts, I mean, before you got here, I mean, not very much interaction. There weren't a lot of people talking. And so now we see people commenting like, hey, let's go to the game, this and that on the post that you've had. So it's awesome. Whatever you've done or whoever you've had managing that's been doing a really great job on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram especially. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you. That's not me. That's the great people.
Yeah. They've been doing an awesome job. And whoever is doing the designs for the shirts, I know I've bought a couple shirts, or I got a couple shirts as gifts over Christmas. I got the new jersey and I got the new blue shirt, the blue Puma shirt that they've had, that have all been looking really great. So it's really, really awesome that you guys have some new designs on there that are super fresh, they're modern and all that. So it's really cool. I basically I just wanted to ask, you know, we're trying to grow a supporters group, and we appreciate all that the club does for us, because I think just talking to their supporters group and other people that that they don't even have half of what we have, and all that. Even from pandemic, when we had the supporters group league, the Rocket League little tournament that we had along that, we had support on from the Toros on social media and all that, and we even had some of the players that watched that, so it was really appreciated. And I just wanted to know, what kind of, do you have any initiatives for supporters, season ticket members, anything that we should look forward to, and anything that we could promote ourselves, because the Stampede, we're always sharing stuff on Facebook, that we're always trying to hype up the team. I mean, that we're here and we're supporting the players and we're really excited, but anything that we can, bring out for the public and all that to know.
Yeah, I'd like well, first of all, thanks for everything, all the nice things you said. I think you're being too kind. But I'd like for any changes, I guess, or things to support the supporters group to come from you guys. So let's get together. Let's have a get together. I'm always down to grab a beer. You guys know that. I don't drink seltzer, so like Mike does there. But
Hey, come on.
but no, I'd love to get together and grab a beer with everybody and hear what else we can improve. I think the drum practice on Saturday was great. I heard from our post you got a new drummer that came out. That's awesome. I love hearing that. We should get 10 new drummers out there next time. So let's get together, and I'd love to hear you guys' ideas and things that I can do better. Our team can do better for you guys. We are only successful if you guys are. So, and to be clear for those listening, supporters groups are independent from the club. We don't control the supporters group. That's independently ran by volunteers that are passionate about the community, passionate about the game. And I'm very appreciative. They've given me the honor of leading the march to the match a couple times, and I hope to have that honor again sometime this year. And hopefully we'll be setting off lots of smoke bombs together.
Well, Gilbert, thank you so much for your question, guys. Let's try to make this go by real quick, since it is past 8:00 right now. Next up, we've got Eddie. Eddie, can you, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's your question for Ron, bro?
Hey, so well, I had asked that quick one on YouTube, but it was just about the British accent. It was more of like a fun question. So my question was more of like a hypothesis on why it's been difficult to attract like local Liga MX fans. Well, Edson, as you and I know, when we go to a game in Mexico, for a solid $25, we can get like great seats, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people, that are Liga MX fans are notoriously anti-MLS fans by nature. So how do we go about convincing, diehard Liga MX fans to go see a Division II professional team and pay more than what they would typically pay for a Liga MX team?
Yeah, great question, man. To give you some perspective, so as Edson mentioned, I grew up in England. I was born a mile from Anfield, but I lived 20 minutes away in a town called Chester. And if you do end up looking at my Twitter page, you'll see my hometown team on my Twitter page. So Liverpool was always my team, right? Just like folks here, their team is Tigres or Rayados or America. But Chester FC was my local team. And even though it was only 20 minutes away, I didn't have the ability, because of cost and transportation, to go to every Liverpool game, but I did have the ability to go to Chester games. And so I went to way more Chester games. Back then it was called Chester City. Now it's called Chester FC. I went to way more Chester games than I did Liverpool games, because they embodied the community that we lived in. If we can do that same job with the Toros and make the Toros the local team, because it's pretty difficult to go to every Rayados game or every Tigres game or every America game when you live here in the Valley. You mentioned about price. I think we've got to have options that are less expensive than a Liga MX game. Absolutely. And I believe we will have that this year. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And I think that it's a case of, no matter what league you're in, you can get caught up in the league, but nobody watches the game. Nobody watches the Toros, the Rayados, whomever, for the league patch on the sleeve, right? They watch it for the crest on the chest. And that has to mean something. And so my job, Eddie, is to make sure this does mean something. And it already means something to you guys, obviously, because you guys are our diehard fans. But this thing has to mean something to the whole community. And that's my job, exactly. That's my job, is to make this mean more to the entire community. You guys help me do that with how passionate you are about the team. And I'll forgive Santos for wearing the Mexico jersey tonight and not his Toros jersey. But yeah, so you're price plays into it, but making this mean something plays into it. And we're not asking to replace the Liga MX team. We're just asking to supplement it with the local team. Toros.
Well, Eddie, thank you so much for your question. Now we'll move on to Mike.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead.
Of course.
Hey, what's up, Ron? How you doing?
Good, buddy.
Cool. Quick question. I know when you said you're looking for a coach, you wanted him involved with the community, the fans. How do you go with Wilmer coming in? How do you go around? What I'm trying to say is I don't know how to ask the question I want.
No, I know what you're getting. at. Like, how do we get Wilmer involved in the community, right?
Yeah, more like that. Yeah, how are you gonna get him, or how do you see yourself getting him involved with the community, with the fans, especially with the media pushing all kinds of stuff about Wilmer not being that kind of guy. He's a pretty nice guy. When I met him at the press conference, real outgoing. Didn't see that. So how do you have plans for that coming in?
Yeah. I wouldn't believe everything you hear. And I think Gilbert can tell you he is a very kind-hearted, warm soul, loves the game of soccer and loves the Valley. And he's very. I think we gotta let the plane get off the ground first, right? You're not gonna get the drink service and the peanuts until the plane's off the ground. I've got to give him his time to get the team ready, because that's his job, to get that team ready, and then we find ways to integrate him into the community. Again, part of the role of a soccer team, in my eyes, is inspiring the kids of our community to make positive decisions with their lives. So how do we do that? We do it by putting a competitive product on the field, but by being integrated with the community. So you will see him in the community. I just got to give him some time to get the team ready first, because first and foremost, that's what we got to do in order to represent you guys properly.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your question, Mike. And last but not least, we've got Santos. Santos, what's your question to Ron?
I'm worried about this one. He looks like he's in a good mood.
Hey, look, Ron, I just recruited I'm in Laredo tonight. And this guy, he's been so anxious to go see a Toros game. He's going. Vamos a ir a ver los Toros. Okay. So I'm in Laredo tonight working, and I'm always trying to get people from out of where I live to go see them, because I'm always in Corpus and Laredo and in the Valley. And I've got some people to go, not last year, but anyways, I'm buzzed. But okay, how could we grow the stamp? And this is I guess selfish question. How can we grow the Stampede also? Because we could draw so many fans with our noise and with our ambient and beer, but it's like what you guys did this past week, where you put RGVFC is gonna have a open jam session. Join us. That was awesome. I appreciate that very much. But I guess it's not really a question. It was just a thanks for doing that. And if you could do that more often, because we could bring so many people with our people we know, word of mouth, and I guess it's just people we know, right?
It is a question,
But
too.
how could RGVFC Toros bring more people to the jam session area instead of just going to the seat and watch the game? We want people to be rowdy out there, and that way you just get more people going, because it's like going downtown. It's bad, it's ugly, but people go because everybody goes.
Yep. Yeah, no,
I don't know
it's
if that's a question, but that's what I said.
No, it is like a question too. It's like, how do we get more, right? How do we get more for the Stampede and more for the Toros? I think, I think back to, there's some great teams in the USL that do this really well. Sacramento Republic, I think of, they talk about game day starts when you leave your house, and it doesn't end till you come back in your driveway that night, and having that kind of mentality. I think with the Stampede, again, I want to get together. Let's have a social event for beers for those that want to come, and those that don't want to go out yet and don't feel safe. We can maybe Zoom those people in and learn about things we can do together. I'm all for promoting what you guys are doing. I think it's you guys are already inviting and welcoming to other people. So I think the tailgates are a big part of that too, right? Being inviting to everyone to come to the tailgates. But I'd love to. I appreciate the nice words, and I'd love to learn more about what we can do to support you guys. Yeah, we helped get one more drummer, but I mean, again, from a perspective, the curse.
Wait. Paul was already a drummer. He just doesn't have a cell phone because he's 15 years old. So he found out through Facebook. So all right, don't get too much credit for getting us another drummer now.
But no, so like in New Mexico, we started the team, the Curse, that started with 6 guys. And then every game, there was 1,000 of them behind the goal. And so that happened obviously in a short amount of time. But it was about being inviting the supporters group. It was about letting the supporters group have independence, not ran by us. They ran it themselves. And it was about just being inviting to all fans. So.
Well,
hey, by the way, Ben, you're a great person, man, because you could tell you're not just going through the motions. You're a badass person because I've hung out with you in other events besides RGVFC at the Liverpool. They're at the walk-ons and stuff like that. And man, you're a cool person to be around, even if it's not talking about soccer. We've talked about other stuff besides soccer. So, like, it's not just good to have a president that's bringing success to our group or turning the tide, but you're all-around good person too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're not too bad yourself, Santos.
Santos, well, thank you.
I do. I'm kind of rough around the edges, but I get around.
Santos, thank you so much for your question. And that's going to be it, guys, for this episode, guys. Ron, any last-minute comments before we let you go?
No, again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate you guys chiming in, asking questions. You're saying way too many nice things. Edson, I appreciate your coverage on the team. You know, I think you and I have a good relationship. You hold me accountable, which I appreciate, and I've held you accountable before too.
Yes.
But I think that it's great that you cover the team this way. And to all the listeners out there and listeners watching, please just lean in, whatever that means to you. It might be liking us on Facebook, coming to one game, season tickets, asking your company to sponsor, whatever. Just lean in a little bit, whatever that means to you. And I promise you, what we're building here for Toros 2.0 is beautiful, and there's many more surprises to come before the season even starts on the field and off the field. So can't wait to drop some of this stuff, and really appreciate it. I feel the energy coming back, and I'm ready to give more back. So thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk about the Toros and everything that's done here. But we'll go ahead and let you go, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show for another day.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Ron. Take care. All right. Well, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. I appreciate everybody who tuned in today to listen to what Ron had to say about the Toros. If you guys are new here, if you guys have not heard about Down in the Valley, hope you guys enjoyed it. First of all, welcome to the Down in the Valley community. This isn't just a regular show to talk about the Toros. I think this is a community. This is a family within each other. We learn, like, I'm not here. I've told this before. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to give you the research or the sources for you to make your own decisions about the RGVFC Toros. And we're here to all learn at the same time. We're all fans of the game. We're all fans of the Toros, and we do it for the love of the Toros. So let's build this community together. If you guys have not done so, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/downinthevalley. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/downintheRGV. Follow us on Twitter @downintheRGV as well. And check out our website, ditvpodcast.com. We'll be posting some articles regarding the Toros as the season progresses. And also, check out my articles at ventefutbolera.com for RGVFC articles in Spanish. So be sure to share this, like this video. Let people know about Down in the Valley. This show specifically for the Toros. We rarely talk about Liga MX. We rarely talk about other leagues. We're here to talk about the Toros, and we're here to set the facts straight. There's been a lot of misinformation on Facebook, and we are here to combat it. We've been here together since 2017, covering the Dynamo, covering the Toros. So we're here. Like I said, we're here to learn. We're here to learn, become more informed as a fan base with our love for the Toros. So be sure to like this channel, and thank you guys. Thank you to all of our patrons: Javier, Gilbert, Santos, Eddie, Jeff. Hold on, let me get the list, because I am bad with my memory. I will tell you this much. We've got Harry, Santos, Johnny. Thank you so much for all of your support on Patreon. If you guys want to join the Patreon list and get exclusive perks while doing so, patreon.com/downintheRGV. Just a quick recap. So far, the roster, what we've got Tyler Derrick, Juan Kuzane, Camden Riley, Grant Robinson, Carter Manley, James Murphy, Adrian Arturo Dispe, Elvis Aimo, Christian Sorto, and Adrian Vera, who was recently announced today. Guys, hope you all tune in next week for another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. Next week is going to be the Patreon Invitational. So be sure to, if you guys are patrons, be sure to make plans. We are going to be discussing the whole show, asking questions about each other. Like I said, we're here for us to grow as a fan base, grow more informed. And that's what we're here. That's what we're here for. And that's it. That's all I have to say for today. Cuídense mucho. Drink plenty of water. Wear your mask, because we want to see you back at HB Park this May 1st against New Mexico United. Bye.